Hello, my name is Joseph Pirayou. Want to welcome you to today's program in the beginning, Ashur. As you can see, I'm dressed for our, I don't know, you want to call it Pride Month or whatever it's called, but I'll explain that why I'm wearing this hat and shirt. As always, this is a live program, and uh, if you have any questions, comments live, you want to send it to us. Appreciate if I can answer it. We'll be able to do it live. If not, we have a Q&A that every once in a while I'll do that. As always, thank you for watching. Right now, we can see Assyria TV on X or Twitter, on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, Instagram, and also you can go to assyriatv.org. We have close to 6,000 videos of different subjects in the archives. Anyway, this is part two of last program, missing links discovered in Assyrian tablets. I'll do a quick recap regarding the subject we talked. This gentleman, E. Raymond Cap, the author of this book, he he's a biblical archaeologist and talks about the first two, three chapters of the book, the history of Ashur, Assyria, and the discoveries that they were made. And the field, as I mentioned, was biblical archaeology. I had never heard of that one. But one thing that I want to remind you of what he was saying in the book, he said the tablets, they have the key to finding the lost tribes of Israel that everybody has been looking for ever since whoever read the Bible. And he mentions in the book that seemingly the ancient Assyrians alone held the answer to this biblical problem, but they and their kingdom have long since passed away. Which I was like, man, you're such a great archaeologist, this and that, and you don't even know we exist. I don't blame him because I will go through that through the program. So he mentions about history of Ashur, about the tribes, about the locations, this and that. And before I go further, I want to show you a quote from Martin Luther King. I will elaborate a little bit. Then after this part of the book, I'll go back and tell you why I'm sharing this with you. So, as you can see, the quotation. Excuse me 1 second. I want to make sure I'm reading the right because there is a screen. My screen is a little bit distracted. So, there is nothing more dangerous than to build a society with a large segment of people in that society who feel that they have no stake in it, who feel that they have nothing to lose. People who have stake in their society protect that society. But when they don't have it, that they feel that they stake, they unconsciously want to destroy it. I'll get back to this after I talk about these links and missing links. So have that right there. So according to E. Raymond Capp about the missing links, so they have excavations and archaeology. I just want to remind some of you that might not be very familiar with the term. Archaeology is the scientific study of past human cultures through the excavation and analysis of their material remains, such as artifacts, tools, pottery, buildings, and ecofacts such as bones and plant remains. By uncovering and examining these remnants, archaeologists reconstruct the way of life, behaviors, and environments of an ancient peoples, providing a long-term perspective on human history and adaptation. This specific archaeology that happened through Henry Layard, Rollison, Buta, or Botha, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, doesn't matter. These people that dug in northern uh, Mesopotamia, ancient Ashur kingdom, they found all these remains, tablets, palace, so many things that they found out, and they were able to decipher what was written in those. What was the communication? They saw these. what they later called cuneiforms writing. Like, what is this? How can we decipher that? Eventually, it's a long story. I did a program regarding that long time ago, but they found out what these meanings are. A specific one that is related to this book regarding the links, the missing links discovered in the Assyrian tablets. There is a what they call stele. It's called Jehu stele. Can we show that photo? I think it's so this is in British Museum. They call this stele. This is black obelisk, Jehu stele. Jehu was a king in the northern kingdom of Israel. And this, I've seen it in person. I have a photo with it too, if you can show that. When we went there a couple of years ago, 2023. And honestly, at that time, I didn't know there was, you see these different levels. There's a photo of animals, of people, different kind of things that they're moving around. Maybe that part is they're like carrying things, right? So I was on the wrong side of that obelisk or Jehu still. Why? Because according to this author, E. Raymond Cap, he said that they found out what happened to the Israelites after their captivity by the Ashur nation. And as I mentioned, the northern kingdom that they had these 10 tribes, Ashur kings at different times. I think it was Ashur, Tiglath-Pileser, Shalmaneser, Sanherib, Ashurbanipal, excuse me, different kings at different times took some of these tribes, and at the end, all of the tribes of the northern kingdom were moved towards northern uh, Ashur, towards Lake Urmi, to the east of Ashur. So uh, that was the tactic of the Ashur Empire. Wherever they captured and conquered that land, they switched the people. They moved people from that land to a different place, so they will not have their what they call it, the zeal, like this is my land, this is my place. I think we can kind of relate to that because we're spread all over the place now. After 50, 60 years, most of us were concentrated population was in Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and these countries. Now, not many of us are left over there. So we self-deported ourselves, but Ashur was taking captives, move them to a different place, and replace them with somebody else. So this obelisk here, it shows that during the reign of Shalmaneser the third, I believe, during his reign, and he has this black obelisk built or made that tells a story of what happened and why he made this obelisk, right? So this black stone, known as the Jehu stele or black obelisk, depicts Shalmaneser's triumphs over several kingdoms of Syria and the West. In the second row from the top is the figure of Jehu. Can we show the other photo? So you can see the emblem Ashur God right in the middle. King is on the left, holding his hands, saluting God, and there is this guy on his knees, bending over. There is another photo that is more specific of that. Can we see that one too? So this is the guy. This is King of Israel, bending and kneeling in front of uh, Shalmaneser. And okay, how do you know about this? How do you know who is who in this carving on this obelisk on this stele? Is that there are writings in there, okay? And on the writings, let's see, it says in the second row from the top is the figure of Jehu, dressed in the costume of the Western Semite. I mean, from the way that he's kneeling, they can figure out what's the Western Semite custom. Paying homage by bowing to the ground while his servants bring gifts. In the text, Jehu is called the son of Umri. The Assyrians in this period of time used the term House of Umri to cover both the northern kingdom of Israel, governed from Umri's capital Samaria, and the family of Umri, in which they apparently included Jehud. So House of Umri, uh, as an example, like in England, there is a House of Wessex. I was trying to find out if in England, because right now they started in the year 886. House of Wessex took over, then for 1 year, House of Denmark, then it went back to House of Wessex. Now, King Charles is from the House of Windsor. What does that mean? If I can, in the Persian Empire, they had different houses, or I mean, to to clarify what House of Umri means. Like we have the King Cyrus, but he's from the House of Hachamanesh, Achaemenid. Then we have the Parthians, House of Partha or Ashkanian, they were called. Then we have Sassanid, and that was a house. And the last house or dynasty, if you want to call that, the last house that ruled in Iran before the revolution was the House of Pahlavi. So that's what I'm trying to show. When our people, they conquered these Israelites, they didn't call them Israel, because for them, they don't know who Israel is, but they know this Jehu is the family of Umri. And in this book, it's interesting that when they're writing, and it's how to pronounce that name. So above the scene and written in Assyrian cuneiform script. So this is what is written: the tribute of Jehu, son of Chumri. I received from him silver, gold, a golden bowl, a golden vase with pointed bottom, golden tumblers, this, that. The Hebrew name Omri begins with the constant Y called Ayin, which is pronounced with the guttural H and is represented in Assyrian transliteration as G or Ch. The Israelite would naturally pronounce Umri as Ghumri or Khumri, which became Khumri in Assyrian. Thus, the Assyrians, even before the Israelites were taken into captivity, called the Israelites Bet Khumri, meaning house of Umri. And the Assyrian name Khumri used to detonate the Israelites is also found in annals, records of King Tiglath-Pileser III, Sargon II, King, Tiglath-Pileser III says the cities of Gilead and Abel Bet Manag on the borders of the land of Khumri. Doesn't say land of Israel. And the widespread land of Hazael I brought within the territory of Assyria. Then Sargon II, he also says, mention of Khumri in his record of the capture of Samaria. He refers to himself as the conqueror of Bet. Bet means house in our language. Bet Il, you know, Bethlehem, house of bread, Bet Khumri. Apparently, this is the last mention of the Israelite by the Khumri. However, a study of the Assyrian cuneiform tablets, known as the Royal Correspondence of the Assyrian Empire, reveals the history of the Israelite in Assyrian captivity, and it goes on and on. This is it. This is the missing link. Assyrian called the Israelites by other names. When the history was saying that Bible is wrong, there is no Israelites, there are no Ashuri, everything is a myth. There was no Nineveh, there was no nothing. It's just Bible and man-made stories written to kind of give pleasure of reading about stories about being good, being bad, being this, being that. But at the end, the missing link that this writer is saying is that it can now be truly said archaeology has solved two great mysteries, both occurring at the same time in history. What happened to the countless thousands of Israelites that disappeared into Assyrian captivity, and also the countless thousands of Scythians and Cimmerians, where they came from? Both mysteries no longer exist. The so called lost tribes of Israel were really never lost. They only lost their identity during their captivity in Osh, in Assyria. Now, okay, that's great. You know, these archaeologists found out, okay, there are different names. And from there, I'm not going through that. I did some like 8, 9, 10 programs regarding the lost tribes. But this is the direction the writer says. Once they started with Ashur, they found out the true identity of these people. that who Ashur is referring to. Then they were able to follow the lead and uh, what they call it, evidence. They found out where they are, this and that. That's fine. Good. You know who lost tribes of Israel are. But our concern, my concern, let's go back to Dr. Martin Luther King. Can we read that quote one more time? So says there is nothing, sorry about that. I need to get to this. So there is nothing more dangerous than to build a society with a large segment of people in that society who feel that they have no stake in it. No stake in it. What is that? Like, you really don't belong. Like, even if you lose it, I don't care. I have no stake in this. Why should I care? What's so important? It's just, we have a society, our society, but what should I really care? Those who feel that they have nothing to lose. We are within the society. We get together, convention here and there, but just one person, what is it if I belong to Ashur, not to belong to Ashur? Who cares? What's the difference? He says people who have stake in their society protect that society. But when they don't have it, they unconsciously want to destroy it. Once we say none of my business, I don't care, forget about Ashur, forget about language, forget about culture, forget about this, forget about that. Every one of us that does that slowly and slowly, as this quote from Martin Luther King says, you unconsciously want to destroy it. Now, is it related to our nation? Well, I'm going to show you another quote. It's in Farsi, and a friend of mine on Facebook uh, wrote it, and I'm trying to see if I can translate it. It says هر لحظه‌ای که تو به چیزی که مردم فکر میکنن اهمیت بدی همونقدر از خودت دور میشی. This is my friend Ilya Yelisivanson. I hope I pronounce it correctly. Of course, it says from Meryl Streep. I think if I'm saying it in English would be like this. Anytime that you put importance on what other people think, you distance yourself from who you are. Is this related to us? Well, I'm going back, as I mentioned, 50, 60 years ago. Majority of our population were within these three countries: Iran, Iraq, Syria. Of course, you had many in Lebanon, uh, uh, Jordan. We have a lot of big community in all Soviet Union, Armenia now, or Gurjistan, Georgia. But the majority of us, even in those Russian countries, right? We never, ever were, what is that? Minkhapta. We were never ashamed of who we were. What do I mean? Like in Iran, we spoke our language. At home, my mom would say, don't speak that stupid language. Just to make sure we don't speak Farsi, my sister and I. Not that we spoke, but since your Ashuri is not so strong, but mom said, no, no, Lishani Gana, Lishani Gana, Lishani Gana. My father, he was born in Ukraine, Soviet Union, right? Even there, my grandparents, my father, two brothers, and two sisters, the five of them, their Ashuri was much better than mine was, even though they were born over there. There was no shame in keeping that. Now, fast forward, majority of us that have left, what is happening to our sons and daughters or grandchildren in the United States, in Canada, Europe, Australia? I know. My kids, they understand. But somehow along the way, we really didn't care to enforce our language, to speak it on a daily basis at home. There was this lady, she was speaking English with her grandchildren. I was like telling her, your grandma, they spend all this time with you. Why don't you teach them the language so they won't forget? She said, well, I'm talking to them so I can learn English. My aunt, my father's sister, her grandchildren in Los Angeles, they learned Ashuri from a woman that was born in Soviet Union. They can still speak the language. They are in their late 30s and 40s. If we put, as it says here, anytime that you put importance of what other people think, you distance yourself from who you are. When you see these prayers, there was a photo that was this Muslim praying in Manhattan. There were hundreds of them. They didn't care what people think about them. The time came, they have 5 times prayer. The right time came, everybody had their thing. Maybe it was staged or whatever, but they showed to the world, we are who we are. You like it or not. That's why I'm wearing these. First of all, I'm reminding myself, Joseph, don't forget who you are. Don't forget you are. Yeah, I'm doing programs, this and that, but every once in a while, I need to reinforce myself. Ashur, there was a price paid for us to be here. Hundreds of thousands of our people for the past 2,000 years. How much suffering for the sake of our name, our faith. There is a saying that I learned some time ago that it was about Ganan Kaganan. We for ourselves, which is beautiful. Ganan Kaganan. Before I think we get to that part, hold on, I have to move this so I can read it. It says, why do we talk about the so-called Moody? Shoot, man, sorry. I need to do this. So there is Mr. Johann Mache Rume, our dear friend who always sends us quotes, says, why do we talk about the so-called 10 lost tribes of Jews? First, it's Israel, but that's another story. Why is it important? Do we have a state now to talk about all things which are not so important in our free time? Who cares? There is no missing links. The only missing link is to have no Assyrian state. Let us focus on that. Thank you. Well, my brother Johan, thank you for the quote, but you are misunderstanding. Why do we talk about the so-called loss of 10 tribes? If our ancestors hadn't left that evidence on the obelisk, on everything that we have, I'm trying to show the importance of our existence even 3,000 years ago. Without us, there would be no archaeological biblical studies. That's where I'm coming from this program, the importance of what we have contributed to the world. Maybe it's not important for you that these 10 tribes, as I said, it's not Jews. That's another thing. Maybe we need to get more information on that. Let's go back to that quote again so I make sure I answer my brother correctly. So, what is importance, right? Importance is us remembering who we are, what we have contributed, what we have done. You know, do we have a state to talk about? No, but we cannot have a state just like that. Do you have a plan, my brother? Do you have a plan? Because my thing is first, I have to keep my culture, my name, my identity individually. Do we have leadership? Do we have anything that we can rely on? If there is, let's all gather and do it. But until then, I'm responsible for me. Instead of Yanaka Yanan, Anaka Ashur. Me for Ashur, I for Ashur. I cannot tell you what to do, but I can do my part. When I go out, I wear this, say, hey, who's this? This is, yeah, I'm Ashur, empire, this and that. Learn about who we are, share that. Anything else it says here? Do we have a state now? No, we don't. All things which are not so important in our free time. Who cares? Maybe you don't care, but I care about what my ancestors have done. I'm proud of it. And by learning from what they have done, things are that we can do now, not just rely on what they did 3,000 years ago. Joseph, what are you doing now for your nation? I can do it for myself. I cannot tell you what to do. There is no missing links. How do you know? The only missing link is to have no Assyrian state. I don't know what that means. It says focus on that. Thank you. All right, help us, give us directions. I really appreciate the pose, but I would like to have some help how to get to that part that to get an Assyrian state. So thank you for the comment. Uh, what else? Going back, uh, I want to give you an example. I want you to meet this gentleman. Do we have that? Ganan Anaka Ashur, right? We have this Gilgamesh Arts and Culture Foundation. Meet Hannibal Joseph, passionate advocate for Assyrian arts and culture. and the dedicated force organizing our upcoming concert. I'll tell you about that too. Through his tireless effort, he has not only masterfully rearranged songs, but will also feature his own original compositions, bringing a unique musical vision to life for our community. All right, my brother Rohan, do you know about this guy? We have a photo of him, right? Let's show his photo. So, why am I talking about this guy? There is a concert. This is Hannibal Joseph. He's the conductor. He's the one in charge of this upcoming concert. And do we have that photo of the Treasures of Assyrian Song? This is this upcoming Saturday in the National Convention that is in Anaheim by Disneyland, Orange County. It's in Anaheim, Maryland. I don't know if anybody knew about this concert specifically. A lot of people know about the convention. And this, for me, is one of the steps to take, not forget. What do you mean by that? Well, what is happening in that concert? Is just somebody playing music, this and that? No, it's not just that. I mean, they have spent so much time to provide, and I met Hannibal when he was here in San Jose. I sent him the collection of Robbie Williams songs and notes. Who is featured the songs that they are playing? Can we show these individuals? This is Rabbi Alexander Shura Mikhailian. He passed away about 3 years ago in Australia. Suren Alexander. He passed away about 18 years ago. Great man. This song that I play at the end, Sheikhani, when you're paying attention to it, in the beginning when he plays his solo, Chaya Suren. That's this Suren. He's got music, of course. I'm sure everybody knows who's William Daniel. Robbie Williams. I met him. I had so many memories with this person individually. Great uh, person, lyrics, melody, you name it. And I'm so lucky to have that chance to spend a few years before he passed. We have Paulus Khofri, and he has some songs I can't remember off my head, but great conductor, great musician, great songwriter, uh, lyrics, melody. Then his brother Sarkhadon Khofri, conductor, great. I mean, the family is musician. I mean, Sarkhadon Khofri's daughter, she plays great wind instruments. I think flute or I'm not sure. She's gonna kill me if I'm not saying it right, but she's a great artist. This is in the convention. We need to remind ourselves this is a treasure. These individuals, Sarkhadon Khofri, Paulus Khofri, Robbie William Daniel, uh, what is Shimo, Shur Alexander, these people, right, have contributed. Do we have value? Oh, somebody was told me a long time ago. He says, yeah, William Daniel in the backyard with his cats. Who cares? I was ready to kill him. Like, what do you mean, who cares? Because you have forgotten. You didn't put, you are not, like Martin Luther King says, having a stake on who we are. And you cannot be forced unless you say, wait a minute. Oh, our ancestors did this, then the archaeological, biblical. Wow, it's not just, we spoke the language of Christ, we all the first who became Christian, the same. No, there is a lot more. And I need every once in a while. That's the reason I'm going to that convention. I had given up on him. This convention, you know what that is, right? This convention, I think, is the 92nd annual convention. It started back in 1933, a month or so after the Simele massacre. They have done it every year to reminder. Now it's more dancing party, but they still gather people. I don't care. They dance, they drink, they smoke. None of my business. But they're getting together, remembering who we are. There are, of course, a lot of programs. One of them, this specific one, Anaka Ashur. Before we get to Gana Ganan, Anaka Ashur. You want to complain? There is a complaint department outside of my house. You can put your notes anytime that you want. But no, not no, but while you're complaining, please come up with a solution and let's work on it. My solution is that I'm keeping my identity. I go outside. This I wore in Europe. When I was there taking photos, people were passing by. Can you show me? Can you show that photo I have with the obelisk? I'm in the British Museum, standing next to this obelisk made by an Ashuri king, wearing this Ashuri shirt, exposing, like, hey, this is my family, this is my people, right? There were a couple of guys I knew they were Ashur. They looked at me, they ran away. Why? If you ignore who you are, you will forget who you are. And by forgetting who you are, we are not taking a stake in our who we are. We have great history. We have great culture. We have great everything. And I'll do my best to expose as much as possible on the so many good things that we have. We can complain, oh, we don't have a state. We don't have a state. I understand. But let's concentrate on the good things we have. You know, I love this cap. This is from Marodin, Ibrahim Zadeh. Same shirt too. You know, I'm going full blown, you know. I couldn't wear this because I'm not wearing a tie. But all over, my wife's like, what's going on? You know, what's going on? We need individually. Never forget there was a price paid. These artists did so much, and there are great music too. Let your children listen to them. Let your grandchildren listen to them. My granddaughter, when she was 2, I played the song that I play at the end, and she was 2, and you know, just walking, and I went to play the song and start da 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 da, and she went like automatically. It's just without thinking. And I'm looking at her and she's looking at me and says, and I stopped. She said, no, no, Baba, no, no, Baba. So I played it again. You start these kids at early age, show them our culture. We have so many good things. Anyway, I don't want to kill this thing, but this was, uh, if you can make it to the convention, to that concert, that's great. They still have tickets. That would be awesome. And before we get to Ganan, Anaka Ashur, Joseph Pirayou Ashur. It's up to you what you decide to do. We will have our nation back. When? I don't know. But until then, every one of us will do his part. Chaya Ashur, Ahaya Ashur Chaya. Blessed be Ashur, the work of God's hand. Thank you for watching. Mabqila Shemed Ashur. Goodbye.
Sheikhani.